page 15 of the Advanced Jazz Piano book, Voicings for Two Hands. This particular page uses rootless voicings in the left hand and octaves in the right hand. And it's quite a nice way to start playing with two hands, especially if you've not been playing rootless voicings for very long. So if it says C, for instance C major 7, if you put a nice octave in the right hand and the rootless voicing of maybe C major 7 in the left hand, sounds pretty good. It's not the only way to voice with two hands, but it's a nice quick way of working through chord sequences. So the next one I've written here is C minor 7, and then D9, D flat 9, and that sounds like the beginning of Green Dolphin Street on Green Dolphin Street. In the second example I've written here, I'm using octaves on the third of every chord, and you can apply this to the 5th, the 7th and 9th and use a chord sequence of a tune or a pattern such as 2-5-1. So before I was playing C, now I'm going to play the third. So the third of C is an E, the third of C minor is an E flat, and so on. In the last part of this page, I do a little brief introduction on upper structures, and I will say at this point there's another chapter on upper structures, so this is just a little teaser. Description of a triad over another is called an upper structure. So any chord that has basically like two chords would be an upper structure. And here in this example we see a triad of E over D. It's actually in an inversion. So here's the chord of D and here's E. That's in its raw sense, but what I've written here is I've written the E triad in a first inversion and I've written the guide tones in the left hand, and now it sounds like this. If I put a D down in the bass, you can hear how it sounds. It's a bit more sophisticated sounding than this one, which is quite strange because in some ways you might say, well, it's the same chord, but it's actually important how it's voiced. And then I've moved it down a semitone. So this makes it a dominant 7th with a sharp 11, and you could try this on all dominant 7ths. You could go down. That was going down semitones. You could go up in tones and various things. But I will come back to upper structures in another section of the book. So if you're interested in that, try reading that particular section. And that's the end of Voicings for Two Hands.